The origin story of 5 dudes.
It's time we got to know each other a little better.
Us?
Us in the audience.
Oh,
Right.
I thought,
Because we're sick of each other.
yeah, we know each other very well.
Yeah. A lot of people in our community have heard this many times, but a lot have not. They don't know how we met, how this all started.
You also got to say never before. Exposed
When do I say
stories.
that? Right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Never before exposed stories.
That might be too
5
late. Might be
What's
too
that?
late for that because we already said that some people have heard it.
The inside story of Neebs Gaming.
Again.
Exposed
Nope.
at one point, but
That works.
Yeah, okay.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Blip.
Just do that again before you got walked on.
The never before heard story
By-
inside Neebs Gaming.
Son of a
You
bitch.
keep
Then you
talking
just
over
No,
me,
let's
huh?
move on then. Move on.
Okay.
So our histories. Simon, where you from? Where you been? How'd you? When did you get here?
Are we doing that?
Yeah, do
You're
it.
going
do
that
it.
far
Mo,
back?
I'm going to show a map right now.
I thought we were
and
just
it's gonna
talking like
happen.
how Neebs Gaming
No, no, no.
started.
This
Simon
is
just looks
origins.
at Duralius. Like, are you fucking
Are you
serious?
fucking
I was
nuts?
born in a small town called Rockville Center, New York.
Uh-huh.
Mercy Hospital, actually.
We don't need those details. Just
My father was an Irishman and my
No,
mother was
no.
Italian. My grandparents hated
like
the
no,
fact
like
that they
I
got
grew up
together.
in New
See
York
what you
and then
did,
I lived
Riley?
here and then I,
See what you
what
did?
happened?
The thing is, you
He
don't
started
have to,
musical theater.
Like,
and
we could
he's
be-
going to go into song.
Yeah, we could be
Yeah.
done with all of us right now if that wasn't so long and boring.
Okay, hey, listen, I'm from New York and
Yeah.
I moved here.
But you lived somewhere else.
Yeah, New Orleans.
That was it.
How long do you want
Yeah.
this video to
Just
be?
this is really easy. I lived in New York, moved to New Orleans, then I moved here.
No, then I moved back to New York
Back
and
to-
then I moved here.
That's all I needed.
I didn't know that.
Thank you. And now
Sorry.
you're here.
Okay.
Go
hey.
ahead. Go ahead. Vic, good origin story. This is just to give him a little
I
taste.
grew up in a small shithole known as Elyria, Ohio, outside of Cleveland.
Oh.
And then 2 days after I graduated high school, I moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, worked in the film industry for a while here. And in 2001, I moved to Los Angeles and moved back in 2006. I'm here now.
There you go. I grew up in Minnesota, joined the Marine Corps, went to boot camp in San Diego, and then I got stationed here and moved to Wilmington, which is an hour away from where I was stationed, and I've been here ever since.
I grew up in a small town called Kinley, North Carolina. As soon as I got out of high school, I moved to Wilmington because of the film industry, and yeah, here I am.
And I am from the mountains of North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And I've lived in Florida, Australia. I spent a couple years traveling the country to see more of it.
Uh-huh.
Now we're all here in Wilmington.
A lot of us have film backgrounds, at least to some degree.
It's actually why I moved here.
I got my doctor's in film.
You don't?
Dr. Film.
Film Donahue?
Wow, we're doing that.
No, we're not.
My brother moved here, so I was like, you know what? I need a change of pace. And there was a movie studio down here, and I'm like, well, fucking hey, I like to act. I acted a little bit in high school. I like to goof around. So maybe I'll go down in there and check it out.
And I lured you in at a bar.
You did.
I roofied him.
If I did not meet you, I wouldn't have hooked up with the like-minded group of wackos that we were in Studio F, which is a whole other story.
Serendipitous?
Yeah, and I
know what
would
that
have moved back
means.
to New York or moved to New Orleans.
We were like sirens.
You
You
were.
could have sailed on to a better life, but our sweet song trapped you.
That's it.
I always wanted to do film. I always wanted to entertain people.
Ever since you were just a little nugget.
Yep, when I was a little kid, I said, "Can we get a VCR camera?" And they're like, "No." And I said, "All
Who's
right."
they?
My parents.
Oh, your parentals. Yeah, I figured that. But you just said they like it was some random group of people.
Yeah, there's the group.
A couple of bears in the woods.
Man.
The government.
They
bears that
have
raised
weird shit in Hickory. They got this community of like a dozen people that make all the decisions for all the kids in the town.
That's it.
It's fucked up.
The local kid
The
government.
council, they call them.
That's it. The council is
elders.
coming tonight.
So anyway, like I knew friends that had cameras. I'm like, "Hey, let's take those cameras out. Let's make a movie." We'd make these movies, and eventually I saved some money. Got my own camera, so it's always making little movies. What else?
Well, you went to film school.
Yep. So then I went to film school.
Neebs, someone's going to ask in the comments, where did you go to film school?
Full Sail.
Full Sail.
Would
That
you
is in-
recommend it?
He talked me out of going to film.
I know.
Full Sail.
I think I've heard you talk a
Well,
few people out of going.
it's super expensive now.
Especially now.
I'm not a big fan of debt.
I feel like all the things you learn there, you can learn yourself.
That's the thing. Is the internet exists nowadays.
Yeah,
Yep.
it
So
does.
just go and get a lynda.com account, and you have access to so many tutorials on whatever program you can fucking imagine.
Yeah. So you film school, and then you got out and started making stuff and started working on the bigger features here.
Yeah.
And, like,
So I went to film school, and then you realize how hard it is to get a job.
Yeah.
So I'm going to Screen Gym Gems, I'm just trying to get in the door. It's hard to even get in the door.
Because they don't care about film school, do they?
Nope.
Yeah, you got to know somebody to get in the door.
You got a degree.
Yeah.
Oh, that's well, come on in.
Dumbass. That's how this industry works. Like pieces of paper
You
don't
got
matter.
to know somebody.
You either got to know somebody or you got to produce something that's well produced where you go like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You got to
Here's
be
a funny
accepted that way.
story. Everybody in Screen Gems knew me because I was always the guy handing my resume like every week. Hey, anything? Nope, we like you, kid, but get out of here. And then eventually, I remember applying for one job, and the people in the office at this one movie just liked me because they saw me every week. This one lady took my resume and took a sticky note and said, "This guy's good," and stuck it on my resume, and it went through, and the guy hired me. He's like, "I don't know, the ladies in the office said you were good."
You're good.
And I'm thinking, I ain't ever actually worked on a movie before.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
But I'm
they're
the
like,
best.
just fucking hire
You knew
him.
how to
Good
schmooze
job.
those ladies at the front.
The whole time I'm doing this, what I really wanted to do was write my own stories
Yeah.
and make people laugh and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like you realize that when you're working on the bigger stuff, you're like, man, I'm just kind of working for someone else's vision. Mm-hmm. And most people get into the industry wanting to like create their own stuff, but then you start making that good money and union pay and all that stuff, and before you know it, you're like so many years down the road and you haven't made a damn thing.
I mean,
on your
one of
own.
my jobs on a movie was just to do spreadsheets.
Yeah.
It wasn't glamorous at all.
No,
I never did anything except for build sets for a short while on a few different shows.
That seems more glamorous than what I
Well,
was
you know
doing.
what? It was shitty, and I'm gonna lead it into this one quick little story because I was hanging out at a party. I think it was for you downtown, and the only reason why I got in
Me
there,
being
Yeah,
Duralius because they
Duralius,
can't
yeah.
see his
yes,
finger.
Duralius, and the art director from One Tree Hill happened to be there, and he goes, "Hey, you know what? Go down here. They're looking for people. We were chatting it up and having a good time. This is who you talk to. Tell them I sent you." And I got a job. And my first day at work, they're like, "Hey, who hooked you up?" And I said, "Blah blah blah." And they're like, "Oh shit." He got fired that day.
Oh, wow.
He got shit canned that fucking
Yeah.
day, and I was laughed at.
He kept
the whole
hiring
day.
a bunch of drunks
He
off
hired
the street.
150 people at a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was looked at as that guy that guy, he's the one who brought you in. Good luck. Good luck sticking around, kid.
Yeah. Absro.
You know, when I was in high school, I got a little camcorder, and so, yeah, made little films with my high school buddies. I think that's how all content creators sort of start. I knew I wanted to pursue that, so I looked into UNCW and I looked into Cape Fear here in town. UNCW was like, hey, come get a degree in film. You get to take 2 years worth of fucking book work, and then you get to touch a camera for 2 years, and we're going to charge you out the ass. Whereas like Cape Fear was like, you come here, you touch a camera day one.
And it's a better program all
Exactly.
around.
And it's cheaper.
Yay!
So I ended
Yeah.
up going to Cape Fear where I learned how to use some of the editing software and some of the animation software that we still use today.
Yeah.
I had a great teacher at Cape Fear. I won't say his name because I know he doesn't want me to.
Yeah. He is the best. though.
But he gave me the best advice I think I've ever gotten from a teacher. When I wanted to learn how to animate, when I wanted to learn how to use After Effects, I said, hey, I want to learn this program. Can you teach me? He looks at me and goes, I don't fucking know that program. Pick up a goddamn book and figure it out yourself.
he's the best.
And that was like the best advice any teacher had ever given me. Pick up a goddamn book and figure it out yourself.
Solid advice.
It is,
Yeah.
because in this world, like, you really can teach yourself nowadays, especially when it comes to technology.
I think I could be a teacher.
You probably could.
Yeah.
One thing led to another, made a couple
Yeah.
short films, started learning After Effects, and then I'd always doodled, I'd always knew how to kind of draw. So one day it just kind of clicked of like, holy shit, I can use this software I've been using to do special effects, and I can bring my drawings into it and start making them move. Exactly. Made a couple of shorts that, you know, never got anywhere, never did anything with them, but then I finally started making a few that I was proud of, and luckily hit right at the time Newgrounds was coming along, YouTube was coming along, because that's all I ever really wanted. It was like, I just want to make stuff and show it to people and hope somebody gets a laugh out of it. And it worked out.
It did.
Ray William Johnson featured one of my cartoons on Equals 3. I'll never forget that morning of just a wave of emails, like 3 pages in my Gmail. Just like subscribe, like what is going on?
I got into the film industry on accident.
Whoops!
Yeah,
There's an
whoopsie.
industry here.
Yeah. After graduating high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I moved here to Wilmington. My folks had moved here, my sister as well. And I got into a band. We would get our demos duplicated at this recording studio.
Did you have big bushy hair?
No, I didn't. I did have kind of long hair.
Yeah, for those that don't know,
nice.
Thick's bald as shit.
Yeah, bald and
We just
good.
shaved his head.
And Neebs used
yeah.
to have the long hair.
Haircuts were expensive when I went to school.
A guy walks out of one of the booths, says, "Hey, you got an interesting voice. Would you like to audition for this Japanese animation project?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess, sure, why not?" So I auditioned and got the part, and then continued to do anime, voiceovers for anime. I was also a DJ at a nightclub at the time, and this new TV series in town needed a DJ. So Dawson's Creek, they needed a DJ for their pilot episode, and they reached out to me and said, hey, you know what, and we'll give you some lines or something. So SAG, boom.
Bam.
So I decided to go into it. I got trained, then circled up with you guys and doing pretty good.
I met Neebs while I was in the Marine Corps, and we made short films.
Made love.
I was like,
I was training soldiers up there to become SEALs, Green
to make
Beret
short
SEAls.
films. No, so I was like, okay, this is what I want to pursue. I mean, Neebs and I did stunts for a good while. Mm-hmm. You broke away, and we were making short films the whole time. I started acting, got some acting gigs, got in SAG as well. And then I was like, I want to do this all the time. I started doing crew work, I started doing lighting, and then I eventually ended up being a boom operator, which I absolutely fucking loved, because nobody fucks with sound department, but yet you're getting some sweet union pay, and you're on set, and you're kind of right in the middle of everything, and I love the challenge of all that. I mean, that's
And you get to hear gossip.
you get to hear
People
gossip
forget their
all
mics
the-
are on, you
Well,
just listen.
You learn real quick. You got to shut them off. I remember
you turn
hearing.
them off?
I won't bring up the actor, but I remember hearing an actor in my headphones, singing in the bathroom, and we're like, okay, yeah, it's probably best to
Turn this
turn
off. I
those
don't like
down.
that song.
But yeah, it's been a fun run, and we made countless short films and all that stuff. Then we all, in a nutshell, we all met.
But,
in certain ways, like I knew Neebs, then you came into the picture, and then we met Abstro and Thick.
I want to touch on something.
Please.
Because you said we did a ton of short films, and that's kind of how I got into it. When I moved here and hooked up with the group that I hooked up with that made me want to stay, which was you guys plus other people, we're making shorts every Sunday.
Yeah, we would
For
get
God
together.
knows how long,
Yeah.
and there were one-take shorts. There was no editing, in-camera, short
Right.
fucking films that were like, we
Every
got
Sunday?
together.
Every
hungover.
Sunday.
Wow.
That
We
was
got
our
together
weekend.
hungover, and we'd be like, what are we going to do? We got an idea. We don't have an idea. Let's sit around for an hour and maybe have a beer and talk about it, and then we would venture out, do our thing,
Yeah.
and at the end, it was that instant gratification. At the very end, we get to go and we sit down and we watch it.
And I would score it on my Radio Shack keyboard that I believe I got from you. And it was
I never
all,
knew
we
that.
didn't have editing software, so I would score it. We made, I don't remember how many total episodes, but we put them on public access. It was called
Oh, good
One
lord.
Take Wonders.
Yeah, it was funny. We paid like $20 for like 3 Saturdays or maybe more. I don't know, but it was like $20 for one showing, and it was, I think, at like 11 o'clock at night or 1 o'clock in the morning or something on Saturday.
shit.
Which
Wow.
was a good spot. We're like, fuck it, we're drinking, we're hanging out,
Yep.
our
We're on
show's
TV.
on tonight.
We're on TV.
We put flyers
We had to
up
pay for
around
it.
town.
We're on there.
We
Yeah,
did
we had
flyers.
flyers all over the place. I remember hanging hundreds of flyers.
They were funny. We did like a Steve Irwin spoof.
Yeah.
It was like called Human Kingdom. And I was Steve Irwin.
Gotcha.
And I was out on the prowl. And I would take down different people like the blue collar worker.
Yeah.
And I'd show you his dirty hands.
Yeah, he'd pounce on them and hold them down
Hold 'em
and
down.
talk about them, and then release them into
Get off of me! Oh, he's feisty, this one.
that kung fu one we did. We had
God,
the
that was a
person.
2-day shoot.
It was like the overdub thing, but the person that was overdubbing your voice when you were on
Yeah.
screen,
You'd move your mouth and somebody off camera
right off
would
camera,
do your,
right next
do
to
your
the camera,
words.
was doing your voice while you moved your mouth.
That's great.
Yeah,
They were
there
silly.
there was a lot of fun, stupid shit.
But I remember seeing a few of you guys in short films at the film festivals, and always thinking like, man, those guys make funny stuff. I was working at an ad agency here in town, and Neebs came in one day, and I was just like, oh, I've seen your short films. I like your stuff. Hey, I'm getting into animation. Do you want to do some animation sometime? And he was like, yeah, we should do that. Mm-hmm. And that was the birth of Duralius.
That was the
was,
birth
right.
of Duralius, which obviously led to Battlefield Friends, Tombstone, Mob Squad, everything we've animated.
and everything in between. Holy
We had
shit.
a casting call at one point to see what other talent we had for voice work and stuff in town, or in general, actually. And that's where we found the Thickopotamus over here.
I was the only one that showed up.
Yeah.
It was at a Waffle House, which wasn't
This
very
is it.
professional.
You're the best one we've seen today.
But you did a walk-in, and I remember when it came down to talking about the characters. That guy Thick, he does a good walk-in. Maybe one of the characters can be like a Christopher Walken.
And there you go.
Wasn't that how
Yeah.
Sir
it
Walken.
went?
Yeah. When we eventually decided to go the Neebs Gaming route, we had been making Battlefield Friends prior. We already had Duralius under our belt, or a lot of it. That was a big sacrifice for some of us. Thick was working you had a great job.
Yeah.
With benefits, and family man, whatnot. So jumping out of that was
It was a huge risk.
Yeah. Yeah, so I worked for the executive offices of Verizon Wireless. I handled a lot of high-level escalations directed to the CEO, CFO, and COO. It was a jobby job.
Yeah.
I would say there's a few years there where Neebs and myself, like we were already kind of full-time on this whole cartooning thing. And then, yeah, we
In
pulled...
2010s when I started animating full-time.
And it could only
Yeah.
sustain the couple of you. We would come in.
Exactly.
We all had our different lives going on to sustain
Yeah, no,
ours.
like, yeah, you guys would come in and write in voice, but
Yeah.
that wasn't needed for the entire week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Battlefield Friends that we were on because I remember being at Verizon. I was on a call with a guy, and he asked for my full name, and I gave it to him. And then he did a Google search on me while we were on the phone.
That's creepy.
And he said, "Holy shit, you're a fucking actor. You're like, what are you doing on the phone with me right now?" He's starting to like talk me out of my own job. And at the same time, I'm falling asleep because I had been cutting audio for Battlefield Friends at the time, working so many hours. So I'm like, okay, I got to talk to the guys about this because I can't do both. And I made that decision. It was a leap of faith. I remember my last day at Verizon, I was sick to my stomach because the net was being pulled out from under me.
Yeah, exactly.
I stayed until the very last minute. My boss at the time, he looked at me, he's like, "What are you still doing here?"
Just go.
Yeah, and I said, "I don't want to go." But it turned out to be the best decision that I could have ever made.
So it's scary. I had worked when I was doing the boom work. Like I worked my ass off to get to the level where I was like one of the go-to boom operators in the region, and I was like constantly working, turning down jobs. If I was on one every week, from one movie to one TV show, I was like, I finally made it in that world to where I was like comfortable, like, and achieved that. And right when I did is when I jumped off to do Neebs Gaming.
And that's a big move because
And it was
once you
scary as
quit
shit.
accepting jobs, they quit calling you.
They did. It took some time. I would do a couple days here and there, but then I just didn't have time because of this working out. But it was scary as hell. I mean, I had a big breakup as a result, I think in many ways. And yeah, I was sick to my stomach too. It was scary as fuck move. And I mean,
it wasn't like you quit and then things worked.
No.
It was even like
it was
a few
painful.
months later and we all looked at our budget and said, look, we can't pay ourselves this quarter.
it was a huge
basically.
transition.
Yeah.
It was scary.
We had to grind hard.
And Simon, I mean, you
I was happy to leave.
You were happy.
I was happy to leave, but I know I had other things going on. But somebody just asked me this the other day on Facebook. They're like, "Oh, it must have been scary," and I'm like, "Nope, fuck no, because you know what? I know I can if I really have to. I can muscle back into it if things start to, for some reason, go down here, which I don't think they're gonna. Hopefully,
Your
we keep-
situation was different because you were a contractor.
Yeah.
You still took a few jobs on the side here and there.
Oh yeah. I just got a call today for work for a remodel.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't do it, and it's so nice to say no. I don't do that. I think I maybe know somebody.
I'm Simon, bitch.
Yeah. but whatever. You know what's cool? This guy knew.
Don't forget to subscribe to Neebs Gaming.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
But this guy knew. He's like, "Oh, so you're doing that full time?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Congratulations." And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hell yeah, thank you." Because
Yeah.
it really is. It's an honor.
It feels good to say that now. And
Yeah.
there's families involved in this room.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
it's not
tough.
like
That-
it's scary.
Children's.
It
and
adds a
whatnot,
different level.
And the sort.
Neebs Gaming has been going strong for a while, much thanks to our amazing community.
Yeah.
I thought this video was about why we did Neebs Gaming.
It's just kind of everything.
okay.
It's a whole bunch of
But
things.
to
Yeah,
me-
that's where we're right now.
Okay.
So why do we do this? Why are we doing this gaming thing right now? You had the great idea of starting a gaming channel that went along with that Battlefield Friends episode.
Well,
where-
we looked at something like we did a Kickstarter for Duralius. We
Yep.
did Duralius years ago, and then we took like a 2-year hiatus, and then we did a Kickstarter to do 13 more. The Kickstarter was successful,
Yeah.
and we raised the money, and we made 13 episodes, and it took us like over a year.
Which made
Yeah.
the Duralius total episodes to 49.
Yeah, we thought, okay, we've kickstarted these. Let's see if they will sustain themselves. Can we put them on YouTube, and will they make enough money that we won't have to do a Kickstarter? And the answer was no.
No,
Not
no.
even close.
Not even close. You would have to get like 2 million views per episode
At least.
at least.
And we got like 50,000 views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this video, like one episode that took us maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks to make, made about $100. 5, 6
I
people
know.
working on it.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah.
So after this, we learned a lot about YouTube, and we're like, you know what? These gaming videos, or some guy's playing a game for an hour, he's got a couple million views, and our cartoon has 50,000.
And he made that in a day, possibly,
Yeah.
you know, or less than. Who knows?
So we said, we have a little bit of a reputation online. Let's create a gaming channel. Let's see if those people will watch us play games. And this gaming channel can help fuel everything else.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
we
it
can just
help-
be us like we always, it's still our same sense of humor.
Yeah.
Everything goes along with it.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't show our faces on the Neebs Gaming is kind of an ongoing joke that we enjoy.
So now the channel's growing. We're still kind of like at phase 2 of the plan, but as our channel hits 1 million and more, I think we're going to be able to say, what do we want to animate?
Right.
Yeah, we can animate whatever we want. It's like, the gaming channel can fund the cartoons.
I want to make a live action feature with all of us. I want to,
Yeah,
so we
that'd
can
be great.
branch out and do what we just. The beautiful thing is we're able to create. That's why we are doing this, because the gaming channel allowed us to maintain creating things.
And I feel like it's our connection with the audience.
Yes.
I don't feel like we knew our audience when we made cartoons, because we would work for a year, we'd put out 13 videos,
Yeah.
and then we go back to work.
Yeah.
Now we have a constant flow of dialogue
badass.
between us and the community.
When we first started the gaming channel, we knew that certain people were going to like this, certain people were going to like that. Now it's to the point where our community has turned into a culture. You're part of this Neebs Gaming community. It's a thing.
Yeah.
You're part of us.
And we're responsible for quite a bit of relationships starting.
Yeah. Marriages,
I love that.
pet names.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to be the reason why a lot of people are miserable in about 5 to 10 years.
You're welcome. Then we're really going to get it.
Yeah.
But seriously, we do have like the most badass community that I'm aware of.
No,
there's-
we've met. I feel like we've met YouTubers before, and they're like, "Oh, the comment section, like, oh, they're just idiots in there." And I'm like, I don't feel that from
Not
the comment
ours.
section.
No.
You'll get a random
Oh,
comment
those
every now
randoms,
and then.
sure.
It's just like, that's odd.
No, it's a lot of love out there, man.
Yeah.
And when you meet them, it's the exact same thing. So yeah, we all somehow all met each other, became wonderful friends, started this shit, made big sacrifices, and it certainly wasn't an overnight fucking thing.
No.
And now here we are, which makes me bring up, I guess, the final point: the future of Neebs Gaming.
Yeah, you're going to see obviously more gameplay, music, podcasts, animation, possibly live action. I mean, that's our goal, is to just continue to entertain.
Oh, there's that world peace thing too.
I'm also very serious about the world peace thing.
Oh, no, listen, we were talking the other night about the things that we could do
Yeah.
when we get to a point.
There's 2 valuable things about us having a successful channel, and that's dialogue with a lot of people that also like world peace. And as our channel grows and we have more revenue, we can use that money for good things,
Yep.
I feel like the government is tied down with red tape, and individuals, people like us in this community, we can do great things for the world without having it to be voted for.
We could talk about this shit for hours. I guess we could even end this out with a simple thank you.
I would like to give a kiss.
You want to give him kisses?
kiss.
Set up a kissy booth.
Careful.
You all just got herpes.
You're welcome. World peace.
Seriously, thank each and every one of you motherfuckers.